If you think your kitchen sink handles whatever you throw at it, I need to set the record straight. What goes down that drain can come back to haunt your wallet. After 3 decades in the plumbing trade, I have put together 15 things you should never pour down your drain. Number 13 is one almost nobody thinks about, and the bonus tip at the end could save you hundreds. The first thing you should never pour down your drain is cooking oil, grease, and fat. I know it seems harmless when it is hot and liquid, but the moment that grease hits the cooler pipes underneath your sink, it starts to solidify. Over time, it coats the inside of your drain line like plaque building up in an artery. Layer after layer, hardens until water can barely squeeze through. And eventually, you're looking at a full blockage. This is not a small problem either. Grease-related clogs are the number one cause of residential drain backups across the country. And getting a plumber out to hydrojet or snake that line can run you anywhere from $150 to over $500. Bacon fat, butter, salad dressing, cooking oil from your frying pan, and even the grease left in a roasting pan all fall into this category. The fix is simple. Keep an old coffee can or a heat-safe container next to your stove. Pour your used grease and oil into that container, let it cool and solidify, and then toss it in the trash. Some folks even save clean bacon grease in the fridge for cooking later. Just please keep it out of your pipes. The second item on our list is coffee grounds, and this one surprises a lot of people. You finish brewing your morning pot, and it feels natural to just rinse those grounds right down the sink. The problem is that coffee grounds do not dissolve in water, not even a little bit. Instead, they settle inside your pipes and pack together into a dense, sludgy sediment. Think of wet sand at the bottom of a bucket. That is essentially what is happening inside your drain. Over time, those packed grounds start catching other bits of food and debris. And before you know it, you have got a stubborn blockage that a basic plunger will not fix. A professional drain clearing for a coffee ground clog typically costs between $100 and $300. And I have seen homeowners deal with it multiple times a year before they finally change to the habit. The good news is there are much better places for your used coffee grounds. Toss them in the trash, add them to your garden compost, or spread them around the base of your acid-loving plants like azaleas, blueberries, or rhododendrons. Coffee grounds are wonderful for enriching soil and keeping slugs away from your garden beds. Your plants will thank you, and more importantly, your pipes will too. The third thing that has no business going down your drain is flour. Now, this one catches people completely off guard because flour seems so harmless. You are baking bread or rolling out pie crust. Your hands and your countertop are covered in this stuff. And the easiest thing in the world is to just rinse it all into the sink. But here is what happens when flour meets water inside your pipes. It turns into a thick, sticky paste, almost like a homemade glue. If you have ever made papier-mâché with your kids or grandkids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That paste clings to the walls of your pipes and hardens over time, and it does not wash away easily on its own. What makes it even worse is that this gluey coating traps everything else that comes down the drain afterward. Food particles, grease, soap residue, it all sticks to that flour paste and builds into a serious clog. Clearing one out can cost you between $100 and $250, and it is completely avoidable. When you are done baking, Wipe your bowls, your utensils, and your countertops with a dry paper towel first. Get as much flour into the trash as you can before anything touches water. That one small extra step will save your drain and your wallet. Now, if you're finding this video helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps this video reach more homeowners like yourself who would also find this information helpful. All right, let's continue. The fourth thing on our list is rice and pasta. And I cannot tell you how many clogged drains I have cleared over the years that were packed with these two culprits. Most people finish dinner, scrape their plate over the sink, and let the water carry everything away without a second thought. The trouble is that rice and pasta keep absorbing water long after they have been cooked. That leftover spaghetti sitting in your drain line is slowly swelling, getting bigger and stickier by the hour. Pasta is especially nasty because it releases starch as it breaks down. And that starch acts almost like an adhesive that binds everything together inside the pipe. Rice does the same thing on a smaller scale, clumping together into a dense mass that water struggles to push through. I have pulled wads of expanded rice out of kitchen drain traps that look like someone poured concrete in there. The repair bill for a clog like this runs anywhere from $100 to $300, and it is one of the easiest problems to prevent. Scrape your plates into the trash before you rinse them. If you have a compost bin, cooked pasta works fine in there as long as it is plain and free of heavy sauces. Just keep it far away from your kitchen drain. The fifth thing you want to keep out of your drain is eggshells. There is an old myth floating around that eggshells sharpen the blades in your garbage disposal, and I want to put that to rest right now. Garbage disposals do not have sharp blades like a blender. They use impellers that grind food against a stationary ring, and eggshells do absolutely nothing to sharpen them. What actually happens is that the thin membrane on the inside of the shell peels off and wraps itself around the grinding components. Meanwhile, the crushed shell fragments turn into a gritty, sand-like sediment that settles in your pipes and mixes with grease and soap buildup already in there. Over time, you end up with a thick paste like sludge that restricts water flow and eventually creates a full blockage. I have seen homeowners go through this cycle over and over because the myth is so widespread. The better move is to start a small container on your counter for eggshells and toss them in the trash when it fills up. Better yet, crush them up and scatter them in your garden. Eggshells add calcium to the soil and help keep soft-bodied pests like slugs from munching on your plants. That is a much better use for them than clogging up your pipes. The sixth thing that should never go down your drain is medication and pills. When you find expired or leftover prescriptions in your medicine cabinet, it is tempting to just flush them down the toilet or rinse them down the sink and call it done. The problem is that pharmaceuticals do not break down the way you might expect. Those tablets and capsules release their chemical compounds into the water, and municipal water treatment plants are not designed to filter out pharmaceutical residue. Studies have found traces of antibiotics, hormones, blood pressure medication, and antidepressants in public water supplies all across the country. That is not just an environmental issue. It can affect the health of entire communities over time. Flushing one bottle of pills might seem insignificant, but when millions of households do the same thing, the contamination adds up fast. The right way to dispose of unused medication is to take it to a pharmacy or a community drug take-back program. Most major pharmacy chains have collection bins right at the counter, and many police stations do as well. If you cannot get to a drop-off location, the FDA recommends mixing the pills with something undesirable like coffee grounds or kitty litter, sealing them in a bag and placing them in your household trash. Your water supply is worth the extra effort. The seventh item on our list is paint and paint thinner. And this is one I see homeowners get wrong all the time, especially during renovation projects. You finish painting a room, you have got brushes and rollers caked in latex or oil-based paint, and the sink is right there. It seems like the quickest way to clean up, but pouring paint down the drain is one of the most damaging things you can do to your plumbing. Latex paint may be water-based, but it still contains resins and binding agents that coat the inside of your pipes as the water evaporates. Oil-based paints and solvents are even worse. They can corrode metal pipes, dissolve certain types of plastic fittings, and create a thick film inside your drain line that nothing short of professional intervention will remove. Beyond the damage to your home, dumping paint and solvents down the drain is actually illegal in most municipalities. It violates local environmental codes, and in some areas it can result in fines. The proper way to handle leftover paint is to let it dry out completely in the can, then dispose of it with your regular trash, or take it to a household hazardous waste collection site. For cleaning brushes used with latex paint, wipe off as much paint as you can onto newspaper first, then rinse in a bucket you can dispose of properly. The eighth thing many homeowners get dangerously wrong is chemical drain cleaners. And I know this one sounds counterintuitive. These products are marketed as the quick fix for slow drains, and just about every household has a bottle under the sink. But here is what they do not tell you on the label. Those powerful chemicals, usually sodium hydroxide or sulfuric acid, work by generating intense heat inside the pipe to dissolve the clog. The problem is they do not stop at the clog. That heat and those caustic chemicals also eat away at the pipe walls themselves. If you have older galvanized steel or cast iron pipes, repeated use of chemical drain cleaners will corrode them from the inside out. Even PVC pipes can soften and warp under the extreme temperatures these products generate. I have replaced entire sections of pipe for homeowners who used chemical cleaners every month, thinking they were being proactive, only to discover their drain lines were paper thin and leaking into the walls. A single bottle costs a few dollars, but the pipe damage it causes over time can run you anywhere from $300 to $2,000 or more. If you have a slow drain, try a plunger first, then a drain snake. If that does not work, call a plumber. It will cost a fraction of what you will pay to replace corroded pipes down the road. The ninth item we need to talk about is flushable wipes. And this is a big one. The word flushable on the packaging is one of the most misleading labels in the entire household products industry. Yes, you can physically flush them down the toilet. They will disappear from the bowl. But that does not mean they break down in your pipes the way toilet paper does. Toilet paper is specifically engineered to disintegrate within seconds of hitting water. Flushable wipes are made from synthetic fibers that hold together far longer, sometimes weeks or even months. They travel down your line mostly intact, and when they catch on a joint, a rough spot, or a bend in the pipe, they start piling up. Mix in some grease and other debris, and you get what the plumbing industry calls a fatberg, a massive rock-hard blockage that can shut down not just your home's plumbing, but an entire section of municipal sewer line. Cities spend millions of dollars every year clearing fatbergs caused largely by these so-called flushable products. In your own home, a wipe-related clog in the main sewer line can cost $150 to $500 to clear. And if it damages a line itself, you are looking at thousands. Use them if you like, but always throw them in the trash can. Never flush them. The 10th thing you need to keep out of your drains is hair. And every homeowner with a bathroom has dealt with this at some point. It might seem like a few loose strands going down the shower drain is no big deal, but hair is incredibly effective at creating clogs. Each strand that slips through your drain cover gets caught on the crossbars of the drain assembly or wraps around the stopper mechanism. Once a few strands are anchored in there, they act like a net, catching soap scum, skin cells, and anything else that flows past. Over the course of a few weeks, that tiny net grows into a dense, slimy plug that slows your drain to a crawl. Long hair is obviously the biggest offender, but even short hair accumulates faster than you would think. The cost to have a plumber snake a hair clog runs between $75 and $250, and it is a repair that tends to repeat itself unless you change your habits. The simplest prevention is a mesh drain cover or a silicone hair catcher that sits right over the opening. They cost just a few dollars at any hardware store and take 2 seconds to clean after each shower. Brush your hair before you step in to catch the loose strands, and clean the drain cover regularly. Those small habits make a real difference. The 11th thing that should never go down your drain is feminine hygiene products. And this one is critically important for protecting your main sewer line. Pads and tampons are specifically engineered to absorb liquid and expand, which is exactly what makes them effective for their intended purpose. But that same property makes them a nightmare inside your plumbing. A single tampon can swell to many times its original size once it is saturated, and it does not break down in water the way toilet paper does. When these products get flushed, they can travel part way down your drain line and lodge themselves at a bend or a narrow point. Once one gets stuck, everything that follows piles up behind it. I have cleared main sewer lines where a single tampon was the anchor point for a blockage that stretched several feet long. The repair cost for a main line clog like that ranges from $150 to well over $500. And if the blockage causes a sewage backup into your home, the cleanup costs can be staggering. Every bathroom should have a small, lidded waste bin right next to the toilet. It is a simple, inexpensive solution that prevents an expensive and deeply unpleasant plumbing emergency. The 12th item on our list is cotton balls, cotton swabs, and paper towels. People tend to assume that if something is made of cotton or paper, it will dissolve in water just like toilet paper. That is not the case at all. Toilet paper is a unique product specifically manufactured to fall apart rapidly in water. Cotton, Balls and cotton swabs are made from tightly compressed fibers that hold their shape and absorb water without breaking down. Paper towels are designed to be strong and absorbent even when wet, which is the exact opposite of what you want going into your pipes. When you flush or rinse these items, they hold together, snag on rough spots inside the pipe, and start collecting other debris. Cotton swabs are particularly troublesome because their rigid stick and soft cotton ends can wedge sideways across the inside of a pipe, creating a dam that catches everything that flows past. A clog from these items typically costs between $100 and $300 to clear, and it is entirely preventable. Keep a small trash can in every bathroom and make it a habit to toss cotton products and paper towels in the bin. It takes no extra effort and saves you a phone call to the plumber. The 13th thing you should never send down your drain is produce stickers. And this is the one I mentioned at the start that almost nobody thinks about. Those tiny little stickers on your apples, bananas, tomatoes, and avocados seem completely insignificant. You peel them off while washing your fruit, they slip down the drain, and you never give them a second thought. But those stickers are made of plastic or vinyl, and they are coated with an adhesive backing that is designed not to come off easily. They do not dissolve, they do not break down, and they do not biodegrade. Once inside your pipes, they stick to the walls, and over time, dozens or even hundreds of them accumulate inside your drain line. Each one acts like a tiny trap for grease, food particles, and soap residue. They also cause problems at water treatment facilities because the equipment is not designed to filter out small plastics. The buildup from produce stickers can contribute to slow drains and partial blockages that cost $100 to $300 to properly clear. The solution is as easy as it gets. Peel the sticker off your fruit, stick it on your finger, and drop it in the trash. 2 seconds of awareness saves you a real headache later on. The 14th item that should never go down your drain is condoms. This is not something people love to talk about, but it is a real plumbing issue that I have dealt with more times than you might expect. Condoms are made from latex or polyurethane, and neither material dissolves in water. They are specifically designed to be durable, flexible, and waterproof, which are excellent qualities for their intended use, but terrible qualities for your plumbing. When flushed, a condom can travel through your drain line and get snagged on a pipe joint, a rough edge, or a bend in the line. Once stuck, it can inflate with trapped air or water, creating a balloon-like obstruction that blocks the flow. Other debris quickly piles up behind it, and you end up with a serious blockage in your main sewer line. The repair for a clog like this typically runs between $150 and $400, and it is the kind of service call that nobody enjoys explaining to the plumber. The solution is straightforward and private. Wrap it in a tissue and toss it in the trash. Every bathroom should have a waste bin with a lid for exactly this kind of disposal. It is quick, it is discreet, and it keeps your pipes clear. The 15th and final thing you should absolutely never pour down your drain is cement, grout, and joint compound. I saved this one for last because it is one of the most destructive items on this entire list. If you have ever done a tile project, patched drywall, or repaired a concrete step, you know how tempting it is to rinse your tools and your mixing bucket in the nearest sink or bathtub. Please do not do it. Cement and grout are designed to harden permanently when mixed with water. That is literally the entire purpose. When you rinse them into your drain, they do not just coat the inside of the pipe, they set up and cure inside the pipe, exactly the way they would on your floor or your wall. Even small amounts can narrow the pipe opening dramatically, and a large rinse can seal a drain line shut entirely. I have seen homeowners face repair bills of $500 to $5,000 or more because they washed out a single grout bucket in their bathtub. The damage is often so severe that entire sections of pipe have to be cut out and replaced. The right approach is to wipe your tools clean with a rag, scrape your buckets into the trash, and rinse anything remaining into a dedicated waste bucket that you can let harden and then throw away. Never let any cementitious material near a working drain. And now for the bonus tip that professional plumbers swear by. Once a month, bring a large pot of plain boiling water to your kitchen sink and slowly pour it directly down the drain. Do it in 2 or 3 stages, waiting a few seconds between each pour. The boiling water melts and loosens grease, soap residue, and soft buildup that has been quietly accumulating inside your pipes. It is not a miracle cure for serious clogs, but as a preventive habit, it is one of the most effective things you can do to keep your drains flowing freely. No chemicals, no tools, no cost. Just a pot of hot water from your stove once a month. I have recommended this to homeowners for years, and the ones who actually stick with it almost never call me back for a kitchen drain clog. That is the best kind of plumbing advice, the kind that keeps the plumber away. Thanks for sticking with me through the entire video. If you found this helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more DIY plumbing tips, and check out our other videos.